Now, according to the Pew Research Center, Nebraska has one of the lowest shooting rates in the entire nation. That poses the question, what can be done to keep communities from making memorials like you see this one behind me? Channel 8's Karen LaCrest joins me now. Karen, you're going in depth with this, asking what's behind the trend and what did you find out?
Rod, I spoke with local gun shops, gun owners, and viewers to uncover the factors at play. To Nebraskans, it's a scene that's very familiar. Hunters in the field, people practicing at shooting ranges, and a culture where gun ownership is taken seriously. Yet, despite the popularity of guns in our state, Nebraska has one of the lowest gun violence rates in the country. According to the CDC, in 2022, Nebraska had the 14th lowest firearm death rate in the nation. In every town for gun safety, Nebraska has the 10th lowest rate of gun-related homicide deaths. So what's the secret? What's behind this?
I think that on average, Nebraskans have more familiarity with guns, and more Nebraskans have been raised at least around them or had some exposure to firearms, responsible exposures. And Nebraskans are just a little more familiar. And familiarity always leads to more responsibility and safety.
Jeffrey McIntyre, the owner of Nebraska Gun, says firearm safety starts at the point of purchase. To buy a handgun in Nebraska, you need to go through a state trooper or your local sheriff's office.
The form that you have to fill out anytime you buy a firearm has a number of yes/no questions that have to be responded to correctly. Issues such as illegal drug use, felony convictions, truthfully being under indictment for a felony, being in the process, domestic abuse. There's a number of issues. If the form is not answered correctly, we don't proceed to the background check, then that purchase is denied at that point.
And the responsibility for gun owners starts right away with how you store it.
Safe gun storage comes in all sorts of types of safes in a huge array of sizes, from small safes that house a small handgun to safes that would remind you of something you'd see in a bank.
We asked you on our Now Local News app about whether responsible gun ownership is enough to prevent tragedies like school shootings.
Responsible gun ownership would definitely cut down on school shootings. It would also cut down on many accidental shootings as they happen in homes and businesses all the time. And I think defining responsible gun ownership is what's important here.
McIntyre says guns and safety go hand in hand and that preventing shootings is all about who has access to firearms.
Karen joins me on the desk now. Karen, it's interesting to hear about Nebraska's unique but still strict approach to gun ownership and how it's played a role in the state's low shooting rates. What would you say is the biggest takeaway of what you learned today?
Rod, I would say the biggest takeaway would be it's not about the laws, it's actually about the culture. That is certainly the message I got from the shop owner I talked to today. It sounds like education about gun safety can make a real difference in saving lives.
You bet. All right. Karen LaCrest, thank you for our top story tonight. And many people are talking about the